Hi, I'm Myles Gazley and welcome to Gazley's Support Local project. We're sitting here this morning with John from Capital Tours. Welcome to Gazley's. Good morning.
Thank you.
John, crazy time, isn't it? You know, and can you tell us a little bit about your business? What do Capital Tours do?
So we take visitors to Wellington on tours around the wider Wellington region and over to the Wairarapa as well. So we specialise in smaller personalised tours. So maybe in this environment with people keeping in their bubble, we might have a point of difference there. Smaller groups usually.
Smaller groups.
Yeah.
All right. People in their own bubble, great. And how many great Wellingtonians do you employ?
So I have some contract drivers that we just employ when the cruise ships come in from about October till about March. And there's about 4 or 5 I have on a spreadsheet, and a lot of them are sort of retired. I was in banking for a long time, so one of them was an ex-ANZ banker that I knew, and another's Reserve Bank. I spent many years at the Reserve Bank.
Oh, good gracious. And you got into being a tour man?
Yes, well, yeah, back in the 80s we actually had a relationship with China, which is quite unusual, and they had a secondee from the Bank of China, and they would send over a delegation each year, about like 14 people, to see their one person in Wellington. So it was a chance, I think, for the officials from the Bank of China to get out of China, and I got the job along with 2 of my work colleagues of meeting them in Auckland and taking them down through the country for 3 or 4 days before they had their meetings in Wellington. So just
fantastic.
Got the idea of that into it.
And when you talked about cruise ships and things, I mean, obviously big effect by COVID, you know, in tourism, and let's face it, that's what you're involved in, I suppose. So what effect has COVID had on Capital Tours and your staff?
Well, we were lucky, I guess, that it sort of really hit late March, so towards the end of the cruise ship season, and this is our downtime at the moment, so my staff are just contract, and I wouldn't really employ them at this time of the year.
Yes.
But pretty much income has gone from whatever it was to zero, you know.
Zero.
Yeah.
And so, you know, do you see the resumption of cruise ships coming back? I mean, have you got any idea in the tourism business when that will actually occur again? Have you had any feedback from the government?
Yes, I've gone to numerous meetings with Tourism New Zealand and Wellington New Zealand. They've been good about what's happening and what they're trying to do, and they're really just trying to promote the domestic tourism at the moment, because with the borders closed, there's going to be no international tourism. But then the hope is that in around about September, October, open up the Australian bubble, Trans-Tasman bubble. So that would be, for my business, international is 85%, 15% is domestic, so it's quite small.
So you want to grow the domestic market? Yep. So how does Wellington support you? How do Wellington support, you know, Capital Tours? What can we do and where can we find you to go for a tour, to go across for a vineyard tour for a weekend, or do whatever? How can we do that and where do we find you?
Yeah, that's basically Google Tours in Wellington, and hopefully Capital Personalised Tours comes up quite early in the piece for that. But we do have tours which are probably more for our domestic market, like our craft beer tour. Yeah. So ideal
I like that.
Yeah, well that's right, and we can out to Brewtown. I don't know if you've been out there.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, and it's often people say, well, I don't want to drive out there, so I'm the sober driver, and take a group of you out, and we can go out to Brewtown, to Panhead. And
maybe the Wine and Food Festival. You could be like you could wait for us as we go to a vineyard. Fantastic, you know. We've
got a good relationship with Poppies over there, which do very good local platters of food. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, look, John, good luck through these COVID times, all right? John from Capital Personal Tours, support local Wellington. We can find you where, John? Where can we find you? How do we get hold of you?
www.captours.co.nz.
Captours.co.nz. Yep. Thanks very much, Wellington. Support John and Capital Personal Tours. Cheers.